Hello and welcome to Star Wars Obsessed. I'm Richard, and recently Gary and I were invited to have a chat with Ian Boldsworth for his podcast called It's Not a Toy, which is a documentary about Star Wars toy collecting since 1978. This podcast will be available in 2024. But I do have some footage, right? Uh, um, This video is this video has some of the footage from the podcast. It was a lot of fun. It was an interesting conversation, but I'd like to share some of the conversation with you. Yes, it's always been with me. It's always been driving me, Uh, there was a time that I couldn't afford the expensive stuff, so I would just be getting the newer collection because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
But I always thought, I really, really want to get the vintage stuff. I really do. I got to get that. And I got to a point where I can finally reach that goal. I think I'm one of those that it was very vulnerable because I was pretty excited. You know, hey, he's coming out with these figures and they're vintage style. I like them and I want them. I want them to be part of my collection. So I'm going to give them that money, only to be scammed.
Yeah.
And I think it was a scam. I think it was a scam all along.
Okay.
And the same goes for, you know, repro weapons, passing them off as the authentic vintage. You can't know, or then people selling figures that may not actually be vintage. They
Yeah.
could be a reproduction of some sort, and just falling for that. But then there's also they are vintage, but then the seller's taking advantage of the people who want those vintage, like the carded, and just charging astronomical prices,
Mm.
and then people actually paying for that. That's the thing that
That's
gets
why I
me.
told him to go ahead and keep bidding up on that one. It's really ridiculous. The price is, he doesn't really worry about it. There have been people who've asked him, it's like, how much he'd sell things for, or they've asked him like what's its value, and it's like it really has zero value because he's not going to sell these things. And it's like by the time he would get to a point where it would need to be somebody else who actually cares for it to the same level, who would actually pay that kind of stuff. And who knows, by that time that he would be done with them, assuming like he just didn't, he was too old and unable to probably maintain it, right? That's most likely because again, no kids, so it's like who are we
Yeah.
leaving it to, right?
Yeah.
Um, will there be a value for him then, right? Will people still be interested in collecting them then? Because at our age, it's like you add another 20, 30 years, are there still going to be people who are collecting them then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they also died off?
The highest price I paid for a figure was for Yak Face, and that was
Okay.
300. And
Okay.
I wanted an authentic Yak Face in my collection, and I was going to get it because I wanted to complete the action figure line, and I had to do that. I was like, I'm going to do it, and so I'm happy.
And you did that before Disney got Lucasfilm, right?
I don't know.
I think so. I think, and so it's like it was before Disney had gotten Lucasfilm and before they had announced the new movies, and so the prices had been kind of going down,
Yeah. Yeah.
been going back up, and so it's like after he got the Yak Face, I remember that was the whole thing, is that all of a sudden now collecting got really, really expensive again.
Yeah.
And so it's like he'd been spending some money, but he'd not spent as much as they were now. And it's like I know they talked about inflation, but this was not inflation. This was
Yeah.
just people taking advantage of the fact that, oh, there's new stuff, there's new interest, and therefore we can now do this.
Oh, the craziness with Boba Fett just driving me nuts. I just like I wanted to get the retro Boba Fett. But they
Right.
released Empire Strikes Back. Could not get it.
Okay.
This craziness with Boba Fett. I just wanted it as because it's nostalgia, and I wanted to get it. And the only way I got it was from my friend Troy. He kindly sent me one. I don't have any problem with the retro collection. I'm all for it. And the fact that they came out with a retro Yak Face does not diminish the fact that I have an authentic, original, Kenner-made
Yeah.
Yak Face in my collection, which was my goal.
Of course. Yeah.
So I also purchased that set, by the way, because I wanted Mon Mothma.
Right.
Because Kenner never came out with a Mon Mothma, so I wanted a vintage style version of Mon Mothma. So I went
Yeah.
ahead and got that set. So I will also have a retro Yak Face in my
Yeah.
collection. And I just thought, it's okay. In my heart, I know my collection is complete because it's all vintage.
And are you really looking at that, or are you looking at the figure?
I look at it as a whole. It's like you take you look at the figure. Come here, you little thing. Then you got the figure, and you got the weapon.
Yeah.
And look at it like, oh, it's a authentic cloak, authentic weapon. It's authentic figure. It's complete. I'm happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same thing I had since my childhood. It fills me with joy.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody caress a Jawa quite so lovingly.
Because it's been with me since since the 70s. So it brings joy to me that something that like this has been with me for so long, and I have remembrance of my childhood and the times that I played with these
Yeah.
friends, my Star Wars collector friends, and just lots of fun.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's about. Here's an example. I purchased this. Obviously, these are going for a very high price. That came out in 1984, back in the day when the sales for Star Wars started tapering off.
Yeah.
These weren't big sellers. So now these they call them body rigs are huge, costly on the market, and I paid the price to to complete my collection
Yeah.
together. So eventually, I will do a spotlight on that in one of my videos.
Yes.
My dilemma is this: I paid hundreds of dollars for it. Do I open it up? But see, I'm struggling with this because I think it's beautiful the way it
Yeah.
looks hard, but
Yeah.
I also want to know what it feels like, what the actual sand skimmer feels like in my hand. So
Yeah.
that's my dilemma. It's like, do I keep it on the card and enjoy it as it is because of the beauty of its originality, or just take it off and enjoy it off of the card? So that's where I'm struggling, but we'll see in the upcoming video.
Only there's only going to be one time he can make that decision.
Yeah.
Of course.
Like, if he pulls the trigger, it's not like he can redo.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Part of this discussion will be in the podcast called It's Not a Toy, which will be available in 2024 from Ian Boldsworth. I will include links to his website here so you can keep looking out for that podcast for whenever it is released. And when I find out, I will let you know. Thank you for watching. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. See you on the next Star Wars Obsessed.